7 spine-chilling true tales of haunted souls. Uncover the sinister, cursed secrets exposed. Jessica's heart raced as she stepped onto the porch, her senses prickling in the early morning gloom. The air felt thick and charged, an unshakable heaviness hanging in the silence. She glanced at the freshly swept steps, an oddity for the house that had known only the rushed comings and goings of an exhausted single mother. Who had done this? She shook her head, trying to brush off the nagging discomfort, but the unease lingered like a shadow, growing with each passing hour. The next morning was bleaker, the fog heavier. As she stepped into her backyard, the sight left her breathless. The children's toys, once strewn wherever they fell, were now arranged in a perfect circle, a grotesque semblance of childhood innocence now tinged with an unnerving chill. Jessica felt her pulse quicken, something foreboding creeping up her spine. She'd always thought of Maplewood as safe, homey, yet with each unsettling detail, the community began to feel more like a trap, tightening around her. Her co-workers spoke in hushed voices about whispers of the Shadow Man, an urban legend ignited by the recent disappearances of children just blocks away. Their laughter faded into tense frowns as they recalled the fears of their own youth, each rumor thickening the air. Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that a darkness lurked just beyond the streetlights, waiting for the curve of her smile to fade. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The ground beneath her felt unstable, and she began to question everyone around her. The neighbors who had always seemed friendly now felt like strangers with hidden agendas. Mr. Jenkins, a man she'd once trusted, now felt slippery under her gaze. His offers of guidance felt like strings pulling her closer into a web of suspicion and anxiety. Jessica felt isolated, lost in a community reduced to careful smiles and veiled whispers. That night, the dread thickened as she drove home, the headlights of her car slicing through the darkness but illuminating nothing more than a grotesque gloom. When she stepped into her home, her children were still asleep, blissfully unaware of the tension suffocating her. The backyard flickered with light as she stepped outside, and her heart stopped. The altar was there again, candles flickering and throwing shadows that twisted grotesquely on the fences. And then she saw him, a figure cloaked in darkness, unmoving but all too present, eyes pinning her in place. Panic clawed at her throat. He was watching her. Who? Why? An icy dread gripped her heart. The trust she once placed in her neighbors splintered. Was it all mere folklore, or something far more sinister? The familiar sense of safety crumbled around her. As she stood frozen, her breath caught, she whispered her daughter's name into the thick air, hoping to shatter the haunting stillness. Just as silence fell, her breath caught, and a low whisper echoed back, chilling her to the bone. Was it her voice or someone else's? The darkness loomed closer, and Jessica knew one thing. This wasn't just a game. It was the beginning of something she feared to know. Jessica's instincts kicked in, sending her body into a primal fight-or-flight mode. She backed away slowly, the breath hissing through her clenched teeth, her skin prickling, eyes never leaving the shadowy figure. Was it the Shadow Man that had haunted the whispers of the townsfolk? As she stumbled backward, the sudden crunch of twigs underfoot sent a jolt through her. Heart racing, she turned to flee back inside the house, but the silence behind her grew thick, palpable. It seemed to reach out with invisible hands, gripping her throat. Panic filled her as she slammed the door shut, wishing desperately to lock out whatever darkness had slipped into her life. The candles flickered outside, casting twisted shapes through her back window, as though the shadow was contorting, reaching for her. She pressed her back firmly against the door, willing herself to breathe, to think. Just a trick of the mind, she whispered, but deep down she knew it was more. She flew past her sleeping children, their soft breaths providing a brief moment of solace in the chaos of her thoughts. She grabbed her phone from the table, hands trembling, and dialed the police. 911, what's your emergency? The voice was calm, but it shattered the tranquility Jessica desperately sought. There's a man outside. I think he's watching me. Her voice cracked, betraying her fear. Can you describe him? He's dark. I couldn't see his face. Please help me. Stay inside. We'll send someone over, the operator reassured, but Jessica could see them through the window, the glow of the police lights reflecting off the fog. Relief flooded her, but a voice inside warned her, it's not over yet. The figure flickered outside again, now darting from the fringe of the yard. Every shadow twisted into a new form, her heart thudding against her ribs, begging her to run, but her legs felt like lead. Was it merely paranoia, or was she truly trapped? A sudden thump resonated from the backyard. Her breath caught again, sharp as glass. She forced herself to the window, heart pounding as she peeked through the curtains. What she saw made her blood freeze. The neat circle of toys was now disrupted, pushed aside as though something had burst through. The candles were extinguished, and the shadows danced wildly behind the fence. All at once, the realization hit her. The fear wasn't just outside, it was inside her home. She needed to protect her children. Just as she turned to bolt down the hallway, a soft voice interrupted her. Mom? It was her daughter, rubbing her eyes, looking for comfort. Panic twisted in Jessica's gut. Get back to bed, now! A slow creak shattered the tension, and she turned back toward the door, dread pooling in her stomach. The humming in the air shifted. Something dark, heavy, filled the empty spaces around her. Footsteps echoed softly, each one steady and deliberate as they drew nearer. Jessica pressed her palms to her ears, trying to drown out her own racing thoughts. She had to act, but it was too late. A figure appeared in the doorway, silhouetted against the light. Despair washed over her as she struggled to breathe, staring at the familiar shape, Mr. Jenkins. Fear ricocheted around her heart. "What are you doing here?" she shouted, but the hesitation in her voice betrayed her own fear. His gaze cut through her, calm and unnerving. "I came to help you." Jessica's stomach churned. A wave of recognition hit her, but it felt wrong. Was he a savior, or the one who had orchestrated her growing nightmare? The faint whispers in the room echoed her thoughts, a chorus of haunting uncertainty. As she reached for the door, panic gripped her tight. Her choice was slipping. Was she stepping into safety, or straight into the maw of the darkness that had been lurking all along? "Mom!" her daughter called again, and just like that, decision time loomed. When Jessica opened her mouth to scream, the darkness murmured back, "It's time for you to choose." What choice would she make? As she stood at the edge of realization and dread, she knew one thing: danger was closing in, and soon she would face the truth behind the shadows lurking in her seemingly safe life. Would her next move seal her fate, or shatter the cycle of terror? Jessica's heart raced as she stood frozen, staring at Mr. Jenkins. Shadows writhed behind him, twisting into grotesque shapes that mocked her rising fear. The air felt thick, pressing down on her like a weight she couldn't shake off. "Help me?" she whispered hoarsely, disbelief entwining with her terror. A flicker of movement at the corner of her eye made her head jerk towards the window. The darkness outside was alive. It pulsated, wriggling like a nightmare stretching into reality. She swallowed hard, her instincts screaming that whatever turmoil lay beyond was better than standing still. "Mom!" Her daughter's voice pulled her back. "Please, don't leave me." The pleading in her daughter's voice broke through the fog of fear. Jessica felt the cold touch of dread crawl up her spine. She glanced back at Mr. Jenkins, his calm demeanor almost serene against the chaos swirling within her. "What do you want from me?" "I want to show you the truth."
His voice was deep, almost soothing, but it sent shivers coursing through her. "You need to understand your fear so you can protect your family." "No, I won't let you in. You're not safe." Panic surged through her, driving her to shove her back against the door. The familiar comfort of home echoed hollowly around her. Jessica's mind raced through possibilities, warning signs surging forward like a tsunami. She had heard the stories in town. Mr. Jenkins, who lived 2 houses down, didn't just keep to himself. He delved into the darkness that thrived on fear. She realized then he wasn't here to help. He was a part of it. But before she could react, a sudden crash erupted from the back of the house, rattling the walls and clamoring through the silence. Jessica jumped, heart pounding in her throat. The sounds of breaking glass followed, mixed with guttural growls that sent her pulse into overdrive. "Jessica," Mr. Jenkins' voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. "You can trust me." That word, the word that had betrayed her so many times before, clouded her judgment. Was it trust or treachery? "No!" she shouted, bolting towards the kitchen, desperate to put distance between the shadowy figure and her vulnerable children. Chills raced down her arms as she stepped into the cold kitchen, where the dim light flickered ominously. The back door stood ajar, swinging slightly with a soft creak. Warm, moist air mixed with the biting chill of fear wrapped around her. Somewhere beyond the door lay freedom, or nightmare. Ignoring the thrumming of her pulse, she crept toward it, taking careful steps that seemed to echo loudly in the stillness. Tension coiled in her gut as she peered through the crack. What she saw made her breath stutter. Shadows pooled at the base of their old wooden fence. Figures danced, dark and indistinct, but their movements weren't random. They were deliberate. Whisperings floated in the air, growing in intensity, blending with the frigid night. "Mom!" Her daughter's tiny voice broke through, raising the hair on the back of her neck. "Don't go outside!" "Close the door, Jess. Lock it." Mr. Jenkins' tone had shifted, authoritative. "You need to focus on what matters." But what mattered? The shadows outside stirred again, a creeping mass, as if they could sense her indecision. The darker the night grew, the more it felt like the world outside was alive, hungry. Jessica threw a glance back towards the living room, where her sleeping children should have been, but were they? The air crackled, charged with something otherworldly. "You have to choose now," Mr. Jenkins snapped, his patience wearing thin. A chilling wind swept through, carrying whispers that gripped her heart in a vice. Torn between the wicked promise of truth and the flicker of safety, each choice felt laced with disaster. And just then the lights flickered, plunging the house into darkness. In that moment, silence filled the air, heavy and suffocating. Outside, the figures grew more pronounced, their forms shifting. Violently, pressing against the boundaries of her world. "Jessica," a voice hissed from the shadows, one she recognized all too well. When the light finally returned, would it reveal everything, or plunge her deeper into despair? She took a breath, eyes wide, realizing the truth couldn't wait much longer. What lay beyond the door was no longer a choice, it was a reckoning. What would she face on the other side? The darkness had a weight to it, a density that pressed against her skin. Jessica could hardly breathe. The light flickered back to life with a reluctant gasp, revealing the kitchen in stark clarity, a surreal contrast to the madness outside. She turned back towards the door, bracing herself for what lay beyond. The shadows had grown closer, writhing in a thick mass that twisted and turned like snakes ready to strike. She had a fleeting moment of doubt. What if this was all just an illusion crafted by her own mind? What if she only imagined the danger lurking beyond? But even as she thought it, a moan echoed around her, low, mournful, and unmistakably human. "Mom!" her daughter cried again. "Help me!" The sound pierced through Jessica, sharper than the fear coiling around her heart. The urgency laced with terror beckoned her closer, pulling her like a lifeline. But to go outside, it felt like inviting the very shadows to engulf her whole. "Jessica," Mr. Jenkins loomed close now, his features sharp and otherworldly in the flickering light. "You must come to terms with your fears. It's the only way to save your children." "Save them?" She shook her head, refusing to yield. "You're not a savior, Jenkins. You're part of this nightmare." His lips curled into an unsettling smile, revealing teeth that glinted like knives. "You still don't understand. What lies outside? It is nothing compared to what will happen if you choose to ignore it. That is the true horror." In that moment, a loud crash echoed from the living room. Something or someone had breached her sanctuary. Panic surged, raw and primal. She sprinted towards the sound, her instincts screaming at her to protect her children. The floorboards creaked beneath her frantic steps, each sound amplifying her growing dread. As she entered the living room, the scene brought her to a momentary halt. The furniture lay overturned, a chair split in two, as if a force had rampaged through. But her children, where were they? "Sam! Emily!" she shouted, her voice hoarse and desperate. Silence answered. Then, from the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement. Turning quickly, she saw her son standing in the doorway, eyes wide, mouth moving, but no sound escaping. The shadows danced behind him, weaving taut threads around his form. A cold gust swept through the room, scattering the remnants of warmth that had hung there moments ago. Jessica couldn't approach. She felt paralyzed by the horror unfolding. "Get away from him!" she screamed, voice echoing against the walls. Mr. Jenkins stepped in behind her, blocking her path to the door. The shadows loomed larger, reaching for her son, and Jessica felt every ounce of maternal instinct ignite within her. "What are they doing to him?" She turned to Jenkins, panic igniting her voice. "Get him out of here!" "It's too late for that," he said, unwavering. "They've chosen him." The shadows curled tighter, wrapping around Sam like a suffocating embrace, his tiny face contorted in fear. "Mom, help me," he whispered, the words so pitiful that they tore through her heart. In an instant, she made her choice. With a surge of desperation, she lunged forward, pushing past Mr. Jenkins. "I won't let them take you." Clutching her son, she felt the icy fingers of the shadows slide against her skin. But instead of pulling him away, they wove together, solidifying around her, and she felt their cold energy seep into her soul. "Jessica," Mr. Jenkins whispered, a certain satisfaction in his eyes. "Now you will know the true depths of your fear." A sharp pain pierced her chest, and she fell to her knees, Sam cradled in her arms. The shadows began to whisper, the words weaving into her mind like a dark lullaby, promising secrets and truths she never wished to see. As she teetered on the brink of consciousness, consumed by the chilling grip of the shadows, one horrifying truth became clear. Sometimes the dark doesn't just awaken your fears, it reveals them. With the last flicker of her fading vision, she sensed a choice lingering in the air, one that could shatter their fate. What power did fear hold against love, and what would it cost to find out? Jessica's heart raced as the shadows tightened their grip. She felt their cold caress slide deeper, like icy hands twisting into her very being. Terror knotted in her stomach as the whispers grew louder, echoing a language that felt ancient and sinister. "Let him go!" she pleaded, her voice a fragile thread against the cacophony of their demands. In the depths of the darkness, she saw fleeting images, flashing faces that twisted in agony. Could they be the lost souls, trapped and forever pleading for rescue? The shadows shifted, their forms changing into nightmarish shapes that coiled around her thoughts, each one a reminder of her deepest fears. "Do you see them?" Mr. Jenkins asked, his voice a haunting lull. "The shadows feed on fear. They come for the weak. Every struggle you make only feeds their hunger." "No!" she screamed, clutching Sam tighter. "You're wrong. I won't give in. I won't let you take him." But in that moment, the shadows surged, pulling Sam slightly away from her grasp. His small body quivered, eyes wide and terrified, and Jessica could feel his spirit dimming under the weight of their influence. She gritted her teeth, a new determination igniting within her. "You want fear," she thought defiantly. "I'll make you feel it." She took a deep breath, letting the darkness wash over her as she embraced the danger, allowing her fears to explode in her mind. Memories rushed through her, traumas, regrets, things she wished she could erase. She saw her darker self, the terrified girl who had once failed to protect those she loved. It was raw, potent, a wellspring of horror and regret that she could wield like a weapon. With an anguished roar, she channeled that fear, unleashing it in a wave, aiming it at the shadows. The room brightened momentarily with a crimson flash. Startled, the shadows shrank back, hissing like startled serpents. Sam, feeling the shift, pulled free. "Mom!" he cried, running towards her, eyes glistening with hope. But the moment was fleeting. The shadows recoiled from the surge, but regrouped swiftly, their anger palpable, thickening the air with despair. Mr. Jenkins laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down her spine. "You think you can control this? It's not over, Jessica. It never will be." Jessica felt the temperature plunge as her heart faltered. The remnants of her courage flickered. The shadows swirled, swirling in a vortex of despair, and they seemed to target her, their whispers becoming shrill, taunting her very essence. "You cannot escape the truth. You cannot escape yourself." In that instant, the wall shimmered and warped, flecks of light appearing, as if her nightmares were clawing at reality itself. "What do I do?" she whispered. "What is the truth?" "Only you can discover it," Jenkins replied, eyes gleaming with madness. "It's buried deep within, waiting for you to confront it." Jessica felt it then, a connection to every whisper, every gasping breath in the air, pulsating with need and agony. An idea sparked. Perhaps she didn't have to battle the shadows alone. "Sam!" she shouted, and he paused, looking back with wide eyes. "We'll face them together. Hold my hand." He reached for her, the warmth of his tiny palm anchoring her. As their fingers intertwined, the shadows writhed with fury, sensing their united front. The shadows screamed in rage, threatening to drown them both, but Jessica could feel strength building in them, drawing from their shared love. With sudden clarity, she understood. The shadows might reveal the darkness within, but love could illuminate even the deepest corners of despair. As the darkness enveloped them, Jessica prepared herself for the ultimate confrontation. They were ready to face the sinister truth that awaited. But as the shadows coiled one last time to take them, a chilling realization struck her like a wake-up call. Some truths were wrought with consequences that could change their fates forever. "Mom, what's happening?" Sam whispered, his grip tightening. Before she could answer, a blinding flash of light erupted in the living room, revealing a chilling tableau of faces trapped within the void. "Together," Jessica breathed. "We have to stay together." But just then, in the whirlwind of chaos, the shadows shifted, blocking her view of the truth. And suddenly, one of the faces finally emerged from the
darkness, clear as day. Is that? A slow realization dawned on Jessica, squeezing her son's hand. The face lingered, twisting her gut like a vice. No, it can't be. As the realization struck, the shadows surged forward with renewed fervor, ready to swallow them whole. Could they fight back the darkness, and would the truth set them free, or condemn them to an eternity of obscurity? The flash of light vanished, leaving Jessica and Sam standing amidst a swirling tempest of shadows. The figure emerged from the gloom, a face twisted by suffering, eyes sunken and pleading. Jessica's breath hitched. It was her mother. "Mom," Jessica whispered, the name tasting like ash in her mouth. "Help me," her mother cried, a voice that felt both familiar and foreign. Each word was laced with despair, and the shadows danced around her like dark vipers. "You must find the truth, Jessica." The shadows hissed, their embrace tightening as if to pull her mother back into their abyss. "Don't listen," they shrieked, their voices a cacophony of malice and chaos. "She is not who you think she is." Jessica's heart raced, a storm of memories flooding her mind. She remembered the whispers after the funeral, the moments of silence haunting her childhood. Had her mother been hiding something dark and horrible? "Stay with me," she shouted, holding Sam tighter. "We can save you." "No, no," her mother shook her head, tears falling like droplets of blood. "You don't understand. The truth is a weapon. You mustn't wield it lightly." The shadows surged again, a wave of malevolence crashing down. Jessica felt slow tendrils of fear wrap around her heart. The room warped and twisted, and reality seemed to undulate, offering glimpses of horrors that could ensnare their very souls. "What have you done?" she yelled, desperation clawing at her throat. "Everything!" her mother screamed back, her expression morphing into something unrecognizable. "I thought I could protect you both, but the shadows, they know everything. They reveal everything." With every word, the space around them pulsed, heating with a malevolent energy. Sam whimpered beside her, his eyes darting between the shadows and his grandmother's face. "Mom," he shouted, "don't go." His voice, so young and innocent, filled Jessica with a renewed resolve. The darkness encroached, but she found strength in her son. "Together," she pleaded, her voice strong now. "You have to help us. Trust me." The shadowy tendrils recoiled slightly, as if unsure of their next move. Sam's small fingers squeezed Jessica's tightly, grounding them both in a visceral reality. "What truth? What do we need to know?" From the depths of the swirling darkness, her mother's eyes locked onto Jessica's, a glimmer of hope cutting through the despair. "You must face the Keeper. He holds your past and your future." Searing pain shot through Jessica's chest, and the walls shrieked with fury. "The Keeper?" she gasped, the words feeling foreign on her tongue. "Who is he?" Suddenly, an unseen force yanked Sam away, pulling him backward into the darkness. "No, Sam!" Jessica screamed, lunging forward, frantically reaching for him. But the shadows enveloped him, hiding him away from her desperate grasp. "Mom, help!" Sam's cries echoed as his form blurred, swallowed by the void. The eyes of her mother filled with sorrow. You must confront your fears, Jessica. Only then can you save him." But as the shadows writhed and twisted, Jessica felt the looming truth. What if confronting her fears led to truth she wasn't ready to face? What if the Keeper was the reason for their suffering? "Please, no," she screamed, voice breaking. "You can't, both of you. I won't let you go." But the shadows shredded her pleas, weaving deeper into her psyche, unearthing the hidden truths she had long buried. Each revelation felt like daggers, shredding her heart with every moment, every soul she had left behind. The figure of her mother faded, merging with the darkness, leaving an echo of torment behind. Jessica's mind raced, caught between the loss and the struggle to reclaim her son. As the shadows loomed closer, a chilling thought pierced through her despair. Could the truth be more terrifying than the darkness itself? Jessica had to decide. Would she unleash the truth in a last-ditch effort to save Sam, or risk losing him in the process? In that moment of agony, she heard a voice whisper through the shadows, something ancient and shrouded, barely audible in the chaos. "Only the Keeper knows," it sneered, provoking a primal dread. The room shook as an entity emerged, a figure cloaked in darkness, the Keeper's face unreadable, his presence undeniable. "Will you unveil your truth?" he rasped, asking what could change everything, or plunge them deeper into despair. Jessica felt the weight of the choice, knowing that every lie she exposed could destroy everything she loved. Time stretched, the air thickening with unspoken fear, as the storm of shadows awaited her answer. What price was she willing to pay to rescue her son? The Keeper stepped forward, an amalgamation of darkness and dread. His silhouette flickered, shifting like smoky tendrils in a candle's glare. Jessica's heart raced, each beat pounding like a war drum in her chest. She could hardly breathe. The shadows whispered around her, a chorus of tormented souls that chilled her bones. "Will you unveil your truth?" he repeated, his voice like gravel scraping against steel. "Please," Jessica choked out, desperation lacing her tone. "Just give me back Sam. I'll do anything." She felt a cold sweat trickle down her spine. The offer bent against her will, tugging at something deep inside her, something she'd held back for so long. The Keeper's eyes, voids of nothingness, seemed to penetrate her very soul. "Anything?" he prodded, a mirthless laughter escaping his lips. "The truth is not a simple thing. It is a weapon, a sacrifice." "No, I won't sacrifice anything," she yelled defiantly, though the conviction wavered in her chest. Sam's cries echoed in the emptiness, and each cry ignited a fierce anger inside her. "Be careful, little girl." The Keeper leaned closer, casting a shadow so thick it swallowed the light. "What will you sacrifice to find him? Freedom? Innocence? Perhaps even your sanity?" The air felt tight, constricting, like a noose tightening around her throat. "I can't lose him. I won't. I'll face whatever it takes." Her voice cracked, but roared with the fire of a mother's fierce love. Yet the shadows danced in response, swirling and twirling as if taunting her fears. Suddenly, images burst through her mind, memories she had carefully tucked away. Her mother's fearful face, the promises she made to keep them safe, all coated in a fine film of betrayal. She shook her head violently, trying to dispel them, but the Keeper spun those threads tighter. "You know the truth, Jessica. You've always known." Jessica clutched her head, rocking back and forth. "No! Stop!" But the memories surged, each one a torment, a reminder of a past she wished to forget. The Keeper watched her with an unsettling calmness. Still spinning in denial, are we? The shadows know your soul better than you do. Every secret, every sin, exposed. It is inevitable. "Why are you doing this?" she cried, collapsing to her knees. "What have you done to my son?" "I have done nothing," he hissed. "It is not I who has painted the walls of your reality with shadows. It is your fear, your shame. You see, Jessica, I am merely the keeper of all that you hide." The walls trembled, and the shadows screeched in dissonance, feeding off her anguish. "Face it!" they shrieked. "Face the keeper! Fight for him!" There was an odd calmness with the newfound realization. If the truth was her weapon, perhaps she could wield it. She jumped to her feet, fists clenched at her sides. "You think I fear the truth? I've been living in ignorance. It's time to bring light to the dark." The keeper's expression changed, briefly surprised, as the shadows recoiled from the intensity of her passion. Jessica took a steady breath, grounding herself in the moment. "What is my truth? Show me." The darkness swirled violently, spiraling as though caught in a storm. The keeper raised his hand, and a blinding flash erupted, illuminating secrets that could burn her world to ashes. Shapes formed, clawing their way to the forefront of her mind, each one familiar yet twisted. "Will you embrace what you see?" The keeper's voice echoed like thunder, resonating deep. Everything in her screamed to turn back, but she couldn't, she wouldn't. "Yes," she shouted defiantly, knowing she had to face it to save Sam, even if it meant unleashing horrors long hidden. The shadows screeched in rejection as the light spun faster, a vortex of truth ready to crash into her very being. And as the room pulsated with energy, as reality began to crack under its weight, she prepared herself for whatever invaded her mind. Would she find the strength to face her own darkness? Or would the truth she uncovered destroy everything she held dear? In that swirling chaos, Jessica felt a horrible thought creeping insidiously into her mind. What if uncovering the truth meant she had to confront an even greater evil within herself? The light flickered once more, catching the reveal of something grotesque, something hidden. In stifled horror, she gasped, "What are you showing me?" And right before her eyes, the shadows formed a face she never thought she would see. It twisted with familiarity and grief, exposing secrets that might shadow her world. The face that emerged from the shadows was one Jessica had not seen in years, yet it felt alive with memories that rushed back with painful clarity. It was her mother, but twisted, as if molded by guilt and twisted regrets. Dark veins snaked across her once loving expression, forming grotesque patterns that seemed to pulse with each heartbeat of the shadows around them. "Mom?" Jessica's voice came out as a whisper, trembling with disbelief. This wasn't the mother she remembered, not the warm embrace or the soft lullabies. This figure loomed like a specter of the past, scavenging through her loss and despair. The keeper's laughter echoed around her, reverberating maliciously through the empty space. "Isn't it fitting," he mocked, circling her, "the embodiment of your denial right before you? Guilt festers in shadows, and you've let it grow. Will you embrace her now, or will you run back into ignorance?" Jessica felt the pressure of her heart constricting. "What do you mean?" she shot back, anger igniting her resolve. "What is this supposed to mean? What do you want from me?" "Do you not see, little girl?" The keeper gestured towards the nightmarish rendition of her mother. "The shadows reflect your truth. They feed off your regrets. Faces of the past whisper twisted secrets that suffocate beneath your lies." The grotesque figure of her mother leaned closer, opening her mouth as if wanting to speak, but the words disintegrated into an eerie hum that echoed in Jessica's mind. The whispers grew louder, piercing through the oppressive silence, reaching into her deepest corners. "Jessica, you never listened. You ignored my warnings," the specter pleaded, her voice barely recognizable. "I tried to protect you from everything, but you opened the door to darkness." Jessica staggered back, the weight of the revelation crashing down on her like an avalanche. "No, you left us. You abandoned me." Tears pricked her eyes as frustration battled with the haunting familiarity of her mother. "How could you say that?" "I did what you asked. I made sacrifices. You've lived in this shadow long enough. Face the evil. It lurks within you, too." Each word from her mother twisted like knives, puncturing her defenses. She fell to her knees, rocked by disbelief and horror. The keeper pressed closer, reveling in her internal conflict. "What is the
darkness you harbor, Jessica? What have you concealed from the world? You have played the victim long enough. It's time to take responsibility." "I didn't want any of this!" she cried out, fighting against the shadows that begged for her confession. "Perhaps you didn't want it, but did you not invite it in?" The keeper's voice transformed, a chilling blend of authority and derision. "You searched for the truth, yet buried it. You've let your ignorance grow like a tumor, until now it consumes you." Jessica clenched her fists, staring defiantly at the keeper. "I am not afraid. I want to save my son." "Then you must unravel your past," he hissed, eyes narrowing into slits. "What you uncover may be more terrifying than the shadows lurking around you." The shadows danced erratically, eager witnesses to her turmoil. Flickering images exploded in her mind, each a glimpse of the chaos her choices had sown. With each passing moment, her body trembled, caught between the person she was and the truth she longed to embrace. "Face it!" the keeper demanded, the air thicker with anticipation. But as Jessica prepared to confront the darkness swirling within, an icy dread coiled tightly around her heart. What if embracing the truth meant coming face to face with not just her past, but a sin so great that it could shatter everything? Suddenly, the image of her mother's face shifted, contorting, the features twisting in anguish. "You will never escape it, Jessica." A flash of blinding light erupted from within the shadows, casting sharp silhouettes across the room. And for a fleeting second, she understood. In the midst of the chaos, a lurking thought gripped her like a vice. What if finding her son meant losing herself in a darkness she could neither fight nor comprehend? The shadows roared louder, clashing against her mind, while the keeper's chilling grin threatened her resolve. "Ready or not, the truth awaits," he taunted, the shadows stretching toward her as possibilities collided. Just as she felt the crushing weight of inevitability closing in, an unsettling scream echoed through the darkness, cutting through the chaos. It sounded like Sam. Was it a cry for help, or was it a warning? With a heart racing against mounting dread, Jessica forced herself to her feet. There was no turning back. She had to confront the keeper and unveil the very darkness that had haunted her. But what awaited her on the other side could forever change who she was. Could she truly face the truth, despite the horrors it might unveil? The shadows pulsed and writhed around Jessica like a living thing, twisting in unnerving patterns that seemed to reach for her. The keeper's laughter, low and mocking, echoed through the overwhelming darkness. She could feel it in her bones, an unsettling pulse that matched the frantic beating of her heart. "Your son, he's deeper than you think," the keeper taunted, his words slithering through the air, slick like oil. "What lies beneath?"
The surface is not just darkness, Jessica. It's an abyss, one that even you may not be prepared to face. No! She wanted to scream, to shout against the tide of fear, but her voice came out weak, barely cutting through the clamoring shadows. The specter of her mother loomed larger, twisting and warping as if in empathy or mockery. "Why does he scream, Jessica?" Her mother's voice now dripped with venom. "Is it for you or for himself? A boy cursed by the shadows you've brought into his life." Images flared in her mind, vivid flashes of laughter now drowned in darkness. Sam's innocent face, distorted by horror, haunted her more than any specter could. "I'm here to save him," she shouted, as if her words could drown out the despair threatening to engulf her. "Then see what you've created." The keeper's grin widened, pulling back the curtain on flickering images that appeared in the gloom. Dreams twisted into nightmares. She saw herself, a child, standing in the corner of a shadowed room, trembling as her mother's silhouette vanished into the night. Sudden understanding pierced her heart. It was the moment she realized that she, too, had chased the shadows. "No, please!" Jessica's voice wavered as a flash of her mother's pain surged through her veins. "Not like this. I never meant for it to be this way." "Your intentions mean nothing in the face of consequences," the keeper continued, his words dripping like slow poison. "In seeking the truth, you've opened the door wider. The darkness eats at what it touches, and Sam is its next meal." "No!" She fought to hold on to hope, grasping desperately at the threads of her sanity. "He can't! He wouldn't!" The shadows morphed around her, painting horrific pictures of her son entangled in nightmare realms, where laughter turned to screams and light faded to black. Each image cut deeper than the last, revealing her own failings. Moments where she had turned away, moments where she had lured the dark closer to him. Jessica swallowed hard, choking on the truth that had been a constant in her life. "I thought I was protecting him from my past, from our darkness." The keeper chuckled and moved closer, invading her space. "Exactly. And now it lurks, waiting to pounce. The greed of shadows knows no bounds. Can you still call yourself a protector?" Panic clawed at her throat. "What do you want from me?" she pleaded, desperation bleeding into her words. "Only reality. Embrace it," he beckoned, his voice silky and inviting. "Dive into the darkness and see what lies beneath. And then, maybe you'll find that which you seek. Your son." "No, I refuse!" The defiance surged anew, igniting a flicker of rebellion inside her chest. As she pushed back against the shadows, the air thickened, crackling with uncertainty. But each breath she took felt futile. Every ounce of strength was met with the cold grip of despair. If she ventured further, if she truly embraced her darkness, would she be lost forever? Would Sam be the one to pay the price? A shriek pierced the air again, a desperate, haunting call echoing through the abyss. It reverberated in Jessica's mind, a plea that turned her resolve to ice. The keeper leaned in closer, his voice echoing ominously. "Your choice, Jessica.
Will you tread the path of truth or allow the shadows to claim him? Suddenly, a gust of wind surged through the room, snuffing out flickering lights and plunging everything into suffocating black. Just when all seemed lost, an image emerged, clearer than any before. A vision of Sam reaching for her, his small hands glowing in the dark, pleading for her to find him. Yet there was something else behind those eyes, something dark. "Make your choice," the keeper hissed, the shadows swirling violently around her. Whether to confront the shadows lying in wait or succumb to their grasp. With her heart racing, Jessica stood on the precipice of darkness, knowing that whatever awaited her could rewrite everything in an ugliness she couldn't even contemplate. Would she have the strength to dive into the depths of her own making, or would she falter and lose everything? The shadows leaned in closer, hungry and eager, waiting for her answer. Jessica's heart thundered as the shadows whipped around her, a swirling maelstrom that threatened to consume her whole. The keeper stood before her, looming large, an embodiment of her darkest fears and regrets. His smile was a twisted mockery of joy, reveling in her turmoil. She could hear Sam's cries faintly beneath the chaos, an echo that both terrified and propelled her forward. "No!" she screamed into the void, forcing conviction into her voice. The shadows flickered, hesitating as if momentarily bewildered by her defiance. For a fleeting second, she saw her mother, a glimmer of the woman she once knew, before the darkness enveloped her again. Each heartbeat echoed the rhythm of her past, the moments of love, the fractures, the isolation. "Face it, Jessica," the keeper urged, his voice dripping with disdain. "What is your truth? What darkness have you unleashed upon your child?" Her breath hitched as realization settled like a weight on her chest. The shadows didn't just haunt her home. They thrived on her pain, fed by the fear she'd harbored. Each hidden regret swirled through her mind like smoke, twisting memories into grotesque apparitions. I can't face all of it," she whispered, the weight of everything crashing down on her. "But I have to try, for Sam. Then it's time." The keeper's grin widened, filled with malice. "Time to dive deep into your nightmares." Suddenly, the shadows surged forward, darkness rushing to engulf her completely. Jessica squeezed her eyes shut, readying herself for the plunge into her deepest fears. The shadows pressed closer, constricting her body, and she felt the heat of them burning her skin. Sam's cries grew louder, urging her
to fight. "Together," she murmured to herself, recollecting the warmth of her son's hand in hers, the bond that transcended fear. She needed to protect him. She needed to save them both. "Together!" Jessica shouted, a roar spilling from her as she opened her eyes to the chaos. In that instant, she felt the energy shift. The shadows paused, not expecting her sudden resilience. She reached deep within herself, drawing on the well of love she had for her children, their essence shining like a beacon through the darkness. "Sam!" she called, and the darkness thrummed in response, vibrating against the power of her love. "I'm coming!" With a fierce movement, she plunged into the shadows, allowing the darkness to wrap around her. But instead of surrender, she pushed back, fusing her love with her fear. Her heart expanded, and with every beat the darkness shrank, recoiling from her burgeoning strength. The keeper faltered. "No!" he roared, anger surging through his words. "You're not supposed to be this strong." But Jessica had found clarity, a selflessness that outweighed her darkness.
She envisioned her son reaching for her, his small hands glowing with an ethereal light that seared through the darkness, illuminating their path. "Sam!" she called again, and the darkness thrummed in response, vibrating against the power of her love. "I'm coming!" With a fierce movement, she plunged into the shadows, allowing the darkness to wrap around her. But instead of surrender, she pushed back, fusing her love with her fear. Her heart expanded, and with every beat, the darkness shrank, recoiling from her burgeoning strength. The keeper faltered. "No!" he roared, anger surging through his words. "You're not supposed to be this strong." But Jessica had found clarity, a selflessness that outweighed her darkness. She envisioned her son reaching for her, his small hands glowing with an ethereal light that seared through the darkness, illuminating their path. "Sam!" she called again. Feel the life flowing in her. "I'm here." The shadows twisted violently, their grip loosening, and in that moment she saw him emerge from the dark, a silhouette becoming corporeal, a glimmer of hope against the onslaught of fear. Sam stepped forward, fear replaced with determination in his blue eyes. "Mom!" he shouted, voice unwavering. "I knew you'd come." Together they stood against the darkness, hands clasped tightly, their strength tangible, a tether grounding them amidst chaos. As the shadows slithered back, the keeper loomed closer, furious and desperate. "You cannot win!" he bellowed, but Jessica's heart was resolute. "Watch us," she proclaimed. "We will face the truth and break the cycle. You will not take what's mine." With a surge fueled by love and deep-seated courage, Jessica and Sam shouted as one, a unified sound that echoed through the shadowy landscape. The resonance of their declaration shattered the darkness, rippling like waves through the air. The keeper shrieked, a sound that echoed hauntingly before disintegrating into nothingness. And just like that, the shadows released their grip, dissipating into the night, a fading dream as the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, flooding the room with warmth. Jessica looked down at Sam, his face illuminated with relief and awe, and pulled him close. "We did it," she breathed, tears of joy spilling down her cheeks. "We faced the darkness, together." As the sun rose, casting golden rays across their home, Jessica felt a profound sense of peace settle within her. The shadows were gone, but the true battle had been inward, a confrontation with the fears she harbored and the truth she had long tried to avoid. They had faced the keeper. They had defied their darkest moments. Now they would rebuild, stronger and united. And as she gazed into her son's eyes, the new day unfolded with promise. It marked not just a victory over fear, but a renewal of hope. "Let's go home," Jessica whispered, hand in hand with Sam, ready to embrace whatever came next. This is how Jessica and Sam stepped boldly into the future. Remember, if you're invested in these gripping stories and want to experience more, subscribe immediately to the channel so you'll never miss an exclusive tale. Smash that like button now to let the algorithm know we're the real deal. Flood the comments section with your reactions and wild theories, and instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this suspenseful conclusion. You need to support us. This is the moment. Don't wait even one more second to share.